Give me a second. Right. Here we go. Like having it dual screen and I'm just capturing tablet over. Anyway, this man. All right, couple things. I have a couple ideas for cover, and you're gonna see how little I have done on the actual story. Right? Open one in a private. So a question I have, because the concept I have in my head for the space shuttle and the launch to get the ship to Mars is it's going to be space shuttle is going to be on a magnetic train in a tube, right? So there's no wind resistance, and it's basically going to go for however long it takes. I don't know. I will look into some of the physics of it, right? See how long it takes. So it's at least kind of realistic. So that just goes to show you how much science that I'm going to have to research. The science. I does the shuttle only launch in Texas and launching while it's not impossible to launch rockets from higher altitudes, the extra speed boost from the Earth's rotation saves on fuel that would be used to help the rocket achieve proper speed. A rocket launching from Florida send a heavier spacecraft or satellite into space. I said altitude, it's latitude, so I guess that's going. The extra speed boost from the Earth's rotation saves on fuel. Okay, so it's basically lower down because the higher up you go, the spin force throwing it is going to be less. So if you're further down, you get more momentum. So it's kind of like if you put something on the end of a fan blade, it's got more force throwing it out than you do put it toward the center of the fan blade, I guess. No science right there. Okay, so my thinking on the shuttle taking off and using a magnetic train. Oh no, where's my power glove? is in a vacuum tube being propelled with, magnets. How do they? Basically, I was thinking, why wouldn't they build it slight curve, right? Why aren't you? Oh my god. Oh, I know what it is. When I open up Studio, I have to drag it from the laptop monitor. The pin never works right. So I got to relaunch. That way, when it launches, it's automatically screen. It's the start position. It gets. I'm not getting no pin pressure. Well, folks, Houston, we have a problem. All right. This is why you can't have anything nice. Where is? No wonder the freaking pin software. I turned that off and said, hmm. The good news is we got pressure sensitivity. All right. As I was saying, right, so we got incline. I'm thinking the rail carry the shuttle in a tube to this point, but it's up, launches. So it could gain all this momentum and speed without having to carry fuel, as much fuel. So you could substitute the fuel payload with other items, such as the family. Right? So now that you know what I'm thinking there, I draw so rarely digitally. Shortcut. I would like the circle to draw from the center out. Right. What? Why even fuck with all this creative? RZ in color. Close enough. Really need to swatch. I was thinking, have a little bit of a reference to the industrial background. Didn't see any of that. Uh, like I've drawn some on this generally concept. So that's like kind of launching, going up. Then get in there. I'm also thinking sun. Surprise. See if I can't that skills. So let's do sun here. Hate it when guide. And yeah, boy. Get a little bit true. So we got those ideas on there. Now, how do we make that work, right? Because that looks pretty stupid. Some dots on the page. Oh, hey, Dub. All right, I have the chat open now, actually. Telling you guys, this is some boring details, but we'll pick up steam whenever I start doing actual pages. Like I said, the idea behind all this is to show you the work going in, right? So I'm hoping some of this cover concept will help inform me some of the direction of the story. For instance, one of the things that I've thought about for the kid is growing up, you are told all these things by your parents that aren't necessarily lies, but they're not necessarily the truth. And providing you have halfway decent parents, it's a lot of it's for your own good, right? There are a lot of morals and lessons in some of the stretching of the truth. And when you get older, like to this day, I still will occasionally think about something my parents told me that I took for granted as the truth my whole entire life. It turns out it's not true at all. The old wives' tales. Um, there's a term you can look up. It's called you know, yeah, Chesterton's fence. Principle that reforms should not be made until the reasoning behind the existing state of affairs is understood. So maybe that's a stretch. Maybe that's not 100% exact same route. But get the idea. So I'm thinking the kid is always going to have, sir, so he's always going to have his feet not necessarily on the ground. They're always going to be kind of floating. And I'm doing that as in my head, it's a symbol for the kid is not fully realized yet, his autonomy, right? And, you know, if you get into reading psychology and all that stuff, which I'm sure everybody has kind of, dipped their toe in a little bit, and the Jungian idea of try to take the world given to you, then you take what you want and you synthesize the two, right? So you're either living as an automaton with all these life lessons your parents give you, you never question that, and then the idea behind Jungian psychology is you're never fully actualized as a person. So I'm going to kind of condense that concept down into a kid, a space kid here. And just looking at what Comics Gate is doing right now in general, I don't know that there's no one's really doing anything like what I'm going to be doing with this. That's not saying like nobody can do what I'm doing. I'm just taking a little bit of a different approach, and it's going to take a while on this because I'm going to learn how to paint, learn how to write, and all that as I go. I'm sure a lot of my art skills are verbal. But anyway, the idea behind it is root hog or die. You're figuring out the world. If you don't figure it out, really bad shit can happen, right? It's like being thrown into the water. You don't know how to swim, so it's either you swim or you drown. Which again, it goes back to the whole self-actualization, self-realization. I'm kind of I'm gonna try to compress that down on this kid and family, and I want this book to be a guide. I want it to be a moral tale, you know, without being like heavy-handed. It's gonna I'm gonna be heavy-handed with it, but hopefully it'll be. I feel like if you get heavy-handed enough, you can reach a density in the story to where that heavy-handedness isn't apparent. Kind of like Pac-Man when he's like goes so far this way that this like the horseshoe theory in politics. He comes out the other side, and a little bit of it's hermetic, right? Um, Pendulum swing, the ebb and the flow. So even the simplest story, which we all live, birth, life, death, we all live that. It can be as complicated as you want it, or it can be as simple as you. So I'm going to try to convey that, and I want this book to serve as something that you can hand out to every kid. Like if you look at how popular Harry Potter got, I'm shooting for something like that. I'm shooting for something huge. And I think showing my entire process is also going to add to that so they can see my motives, what the book's all about, any mistakes I made, they'll be able to see why at least why I made the mistakes. You know, I'll be earnest in my efforts to tell a good story, to tell a moral story. Um, it'll have, you know, Christian themes, definitely, because there's no escaping that. in Western culture, right? Try as you might to be get into college and be an edge lord and reject everything. You're trying to take that inventory and reject it, right? And college, I think, is taking advantage of these kids to the point that they're trading being an automaton over here with the life lessons that their parents gave them, and they're replacing it with these really weird goofball college professors and their ideas. Which right now the trend is, they're really communism, right? So it'll be a little bit of a social critique on that, which is in line with Comicsgate. But I want to. It's basically a love letter to um, my parents, to having a Christian upbringing, even though we never went to church. I can't tell you, like, there's so many, and people will want to call them, false Christians or whatever. But you're just looking at a system of morals, values, epistemological ideas, your metaphysical ideas on how the universe works. And, I think one of the awesome things about why the Bible works, and if you look at what Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell were doing, they were trying to update that for modern life, right? Because it's hard to relate to all those morals and lessons, which are still very, very valid today when the setting is so foreign to what we're living currently. So I want my book to kind of serve as something like that. And I call it a survival guide to kids. So of course you're gonna get the shitheads that are like, this fucking Christian, he's out here trying to sucker in all these kids and get them to, believe it. He's just like grifting and trying to make money. It's not that at all. I want kids that get this book to read it, that to know that they can survive their situation, um, to have respect for parents and religion, but to also have a stick a survival, a stick to itiveness to take on the world no matter what the situation is. And what would be a worse situation for a kid than losing both parents on a planet that working to terraform, right? So a lot of things that I still have yet to figure out. I really think I want to keep it as the mom, the dad, and son or the daughter. Uh, I want to keep the three in there, the little bit of the Trinity symbolism, the one and the many. Build out from that, and hopefully it'll give kids, at the very least, when they read the book, if they're a foster kid somehow gets a hold to this, or whatever, some kid that is like 10 years old and his mom and dad are both like meth heads or something. I want that kid to read this and I don't want to end up like this. So how do I get myself out of it? I want this book to inspire them to know that there are other ways they can survive even if they don't have the best situation, you know. So meth two meth head parents, while technically they could be very good parents, but also they could also might as well be dead because they're fucking high all the time, right? So back to drawing. Kind of laid out what I'm hoping to achieve. And I think having it painted will help it Well, one, I want to paint, right? So the story, and I'm going to keep reiterating this. People are going to get tired of it, two or three that tune in, or down the road, people find this video and tune in. The root hog or die is the method I'm applying to myself to learn how to paint and to write and to crowdfund and to grow my YouTube channel, right? Because all that is, I'm trying to survive in this comic market. And I'm going to make this book kind of a, autobiography, but also very relatable. I'm going to live it so people can say, well, this dude, he did all this. He didn't know how to do any of this. He did it, right? And some of the other things I'm going to put in the book are systems that are kind of guides to help people along, to help navigate the world, right? Because I've lived a fairly eventful life. And what good is it to have all these experiences if I don't share that wisdom with other people? Like, what's the fucking point, right? Oh, I learned this real hard lesson. Guess what? I'm not going to tell anybody how I made it through, right? So we're living it. Poor old dog, he's coughing. I kind of like the size of that, but I also want to kind of work. Let's try that air. That's what I'm. So that's. Oh my! Why? What the hell? There we go. Spaceship. So I think that is all I'm gonna do today because I need to get back on layouts. But I wanted to make sure I got my stream in. Um, Talked a little bit more than I did yesterday because I know yesterday's boring. Obviously, the logo is not something that's completely done. I was thinking, like, as I lay awake at night thinking, shit, it's like the R is still not working for. Won't it let me? I have to rasterize it. So anyway, I was thinking, the way I solved that other problem on D, I could use that for the R's because they kind of look. They could be A's, right? And again, logo is nowhere near final. Could end up looking complete, utterly, totally different. I mean, I may end up doing something hand drawn for the logo, but as of right now, I'm feeling the blocky space computer, and I like the idea that was born yesterday. That was the QRC code, and I'm thinking every time you see the logo, at some point in the future, I'll let people. But whenever you see that logo, you're going to want to scan it with your phone, and it's going to take you to website for an alternate reality game. And if people figure out the little puzzles, riddles, um, I'll mail them some painted art, some art or something from right. So that'll help drive engagement. But that's quite a ways down the road. So I'm gonna leave this here, so to speak, and I think tomorrow we'll do some character designs. I'll work on designing kid and the kid's spacesuit because I want all that to happen live. I want it to be recorded. I want people to see how I come up with and how like that character design, how like as I'm, putting shit on this kid's spacesuit, it might spring another idea that's going to add a possible little sub story into the rest of the book, right? So I kind of got like the ideas on how this stuff's going to work, but I don't know. What I won't do is I won't bore you with me pulling up YouTube videos on how to write and watching them. I won't let you watch me watch those. I'll save you from that. But anytime I'm doing work that is writing, typing, drawing, concepting, you're gonna get to see it all. And that is all for today. Um, Thanks for stopping by. Spread the word. Let everybody know. It is doing the most boring stream in history. I'm learning a lot. Tell them that. Tell them you're learning a lot. You're learning a shit. Tell them you're learning a metric fuck ton. All right. Thanks. See you guys next time. Wife says let it give it like 5 or 6 seconds.